One of the most popular wintertime activities here in the South Carolina Lowcountry is an oyster roast. Now, sometimes a company might host an oyster roast for their customers or their employees, but more times than not, it's just friends getting together in somebody's backyard, cooking oysters, having a few drinks, having a bonfire, having a bunch of food, and getting together for laughs. And today, I'm going to be taking you along on just an oyster roast with me and my friends to kind of show you how it goes down, how you do it. And so I hope that's interesting to you. So let's go ahead and get started right now, and let's go shop for some oysters. The oyster industry in and around Bluffton, South Carolina is deeply rooted in lowcountry culture, ecology, and economy. Nestled along the May River and the broader Port Royal Sound system, Bluffton benefits from pristine tidal creeks and nutrient-rich estuaries that are ideal for cultivating eastern oysters. The industry not only preserves a long-standing gullah and coastal heritage, but also contributes to water filtration and shoreline stabilization, making oysters both an economic asset and an environmental champion for the Bluffton community. All right, so if you're gonna have an oyster roast, the first thing you need is obviously oysters. And a lot of people have their own local hookups for oysters. They know a local captain, or they have a certain guy that they think has the best oysters in town. But if you don't have that local hookup and you don't know like a local captain that goes out and gets them, you can go to any of these fresh seafood markets all scattered throughout the South Carolina Lowcountry. Today, I went over here to Captain Mike's Seafood, which is right here off Highway 170, just about 2.5 miles off of Highway 278. So that's where I'm gonna go today. I'm gonna run in, grab about 3 bushels, which is just about the right amount for the amount of people that we're gonna have. And I'll show you what they look like as soon as I get out. All right, so we have our 3 bushels. I'm gonna turn the camera around so you can see exactly how these come. So this is what they look like. They come in these big white sacks, and as you can see, they are just full of oysters. Let me pull a few of these out. And they come in clusters. So there's another one. And once we get started on the oyster roast, I'll show you how we clean them up and how we cook them, how we eat them, everything. All right, so if you're having an oyster roast, the first thing you're gonna need are oyster knives for your guests. Now, a lot of guests are gonna bring their own oyster knife because a lot of people have their own personal oyster knife, and when I turn this camera around, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So these are oyster knives, and you can see there's all different types of styles. And you know, some people like something like this. It's a little more historic looking, but all of these have sort of a sharp point on them, but they're not gonna cut you. They're kind of dull. You can run your finger up and down and it's not gonna cut you, but you can pick out your choice. Pretty much all the local gift shops are gonna have an assortment of oyster knives, but you're definitely gonna need one of those to get started. All right, and the next thing you're gonna need is something to actually cook the oysters in. Now, traditionally, people would put it over an open flame with a big metal sheet over the open flame, and they would put the oysters on there, and they would get wet burlap sacks, and they would throw that over the oysters to steam them. But most people use something a little bit more like this, and we'll show you cooking the oysters in a little bit, but this is just like a steaming pot. And of course, you've got your propane hookup over there. Now, some captains will give you the oysters that are already pre-cleaned, but they are pulling these out of pluff mud, and you can see oyster beds out in the river. So they do sometimes have a little bit of mud still on them. So you're gonna wanna clean them. And so you're gonna wanna have a hose close by, and that just makes them a little bit easier to eat, you know, once you cook them. So here you can see my buddy, he's cleaning them off, just kind of getting them prepped prior to putting them in the steamer. Now, normally we're doing oyster roasts in the winter time, and it's usually pretty chilly out or at least cool out. And so if you're gonna have an oyster roast, normally you want some kind of fire or some kind of heat. So I'm not sure if we're going to make a fire tonight, but we do have this kind of heat burner that my buddy is heating up, and so that's going to keep everybody warm as they walk to and from the oyster tables. They have a fire that they can walk around and kind of warm themselves up. All right, so if you're having an oyster roast, you need more than just oysters. You actually need some side dishes. And so typically people will do it kind of potluck style, and everybody coming to the oyster roast will bring a dish with them. So let me spin this around here, and you can see we've got a small party going, but we've got some hamburgers, we've got some potato salad, we've got all kinds of dips. And of course, you know, everybody can bring whatever their drink of choice is. So doesn't necessarily have to be an adult beverage, but a lot of times, you know, people are having a beer or a glass of wine, but sweet tea's fine too. So Brett, how long are you typically leaving these oysters in here?
I think typically, it depends, 5 or 10 minutes. I think when they start getting open like that, you start smelling them and see that how they're open. And we're going to pull those off.
So you said that a lot of times it's based on smell too?
Yeah, you can start to smell them and see that steam rolling.
And you like more well done or more juicy?
A mixture. I like to get a juicy one occasionally.
All right.
Hopefully we got some juicy ones here.
Do you want to know everything there is to know about the South Carolina Lowcountry, whether it's Bluffton, Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, or Jasper County? Then subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications so you'll be the first to know every time I put out a new video. My name is David Simcox, host of this channel and a local real estate agent. I get calls and emails every day from people just like you looking to make their move here, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 3 days, 3 weeks, or even 3 years, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, or you can always book a Zoom call by going to lowcountrylifestylesteam.com. Now without further ado, let's go eat some oysters. Can y'all tell us exactly how you open these oysters?
I do it with my fingers.
So as you can see, these come in like a cluster, and you got your oyster knife and you can just pry it open. They come multiple oysters in each one. So if you pry it open, you can see the oyster is right there, and you can just do it that way, or if you want. Oh yeah, and you got to share too.
Wait, show Mr. David you not want to put that.
So there you go. Here you go, baby. All right, so this one here is a prized, hold it up again. That's a prized possession right there. That's as good as it gets right there. All right, let's see it. You can put hot sauce or anything on them, but most of the locals here just eat them straight up. And you can see the kids love them too. The kids are always the first ones to the table. Hey, do you like oysters? Yeah. All right, now if you have one like this that is not fully opened up, you actually go back to this end of it right here, and you look for this one little spot, and you put your knife right in here, and if you just kind of wiggle it just a little bit, oop, this should open it up, and there you go. So the other thing you're going to want is hand towels. And so typically the guest will, or the host will provide the hand towels, just some kind of cloth that after you get done sitting at the oyster table and you want to go back and eat some more food or hang out or have your drink, you can kind of wipe your hands off. So something else to keep on hand for an oyster roast. All right, now one thing you have to watch out for is these guys right here. Sometimes you'll open up an oyster and it's completely full of mud. That's pluff mud. Obviously, you do not want to eat that. So, Renee, talk to me a little bit about oysters.
So, David, the best thing about oysters is that they're an aphrodisiac.
Okay. Well,
anything else you want to know? Okay, so what I do love about oysters for real though is I like the super juicy ones. I like the slippery, the juicy, the slimier the better, but that's not for everybody.
Okay, so you don't like them overcooked?
I don't. I like them kind of underdone a little bit, but that's not for everybody apparently. Most people like them when they're a little bit drier.
Okay, and how long have you been eating oysters?
I guess all my life. I don't remember not eating oysters. I think I was fed oysters when I was little.
When you were like 3 years old?
Yeah, kind of like Lillian.
Okay, and do you usually have pretty good manners at the oyster table, or are you just all in there?
It depends on the people that are at the party. If I feel pretty comfortable, then I'm gonna dive in.
Okay.
But if I don't know, I'm gonna try to be a little polite. If you've got some newcomers, I'll be nice and stand back and let some others dig in.
Any advice for somebody if they go to their first oyster roast?
I would probably wear some gloves because you typically cut your hands up a pretty good bit. So you might want to find somebody that knows what they're doing and see if they can help you pop some oysters open.
And you just eat them straight up, or do you put hot sauce or anything on them?
Yeah, no, I'm a straight up kind of gal. My hot sauce goes on the crackers. After I eat my oyster, I want my oyster on the shell.
Cool. Sarah, you host a lot of oyster parties over at your house. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So what do you like most about hosting these oyster roasts in your backyard?
The company that comes with them,
All right.
for sure.
So it doesn't have to be a huge party or anything. It's just an excuse to get together with friends?
Absolutely.
All right. And tell me about your experience with oysters. Do you love them, or you take them or leave them?
I like them pretty good,
Okay.
but I don't typically order them at restaurants. I like it like this.
Right. You like the local ones.
I do.
And you always seem to let the kids have the first go at it, and then you kind of come in later.
Yes.
Is that
I like the people that really like them. I like them to make sure they get them.
Okay. So is there like a proper oyster etiquette if somebody comes to an oyster roast for the first time?
Make sure there's space at the table.
Yeah.
Don't totally butt in. And make sure you get all the oysters off of the cluster. Don't
throw them away.
Don't toss this. You gotta go through and get them all.
Right. If you don't know how to open every single oyster, ask somebody to help you.
Yep.
But don't
or just put it back in the middle, because you'll have your scavengers at the end that will go through them.
Because newbies sometimes will get the easy oysters out,
Yes.
and then they throw
I
the
do that
rest
still.
away.
Yes.
And that's definitely a faux pas.
Right.
All right, cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Brett, you've been cooking the oysters tonight, and this is also hosted at your home. How do you typically get roped into always being the one who's cooking the oysters?
I'm just a laborer.
You're willing, right?
Yeah.
How long you been cooking oysters?
30 years.
30 years, and who taught you how to cook oysters?
I just watched the older folks do it and just kind of learned. Didn't take any lessons. It's pretty easy.
Okay, all right. So any advice for somebody if they're going to try to cook oysters for the very first time? Maybe they're moving here from somewhere new.
Just send it.
Just send it?
Yeah.
Don't overcook them, right?
Yeah, it's just like meat, rare to well done. So cook them however, and somebody will eat them.
All right. How do you like them?
About medium.
Medium?
Juicy.
All right.
Yeah, it really depends. Some are more open than others, so you're gonna get a mixed batch.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, we appreciate you hosting
Yes,
us and
sir.
cooking these tonight.
Yeah, man, no problem.
All right. So another thing that you might want to have on hand are saltine crackers. So some people do like them on saltine crackers. So if you're going to host an oyster roast, definitely have a pack of saltine crackers on the side. Not my favorite way to eat them, but they're pretty good. All right, so the last thing I want to mention on this video is recycling. So I'm out here at the end of Old Sawmill Road, and I'm at the oyster shell recycling station. So I just want to remind you to do the responsible thing. After you've had your oyster roast, bring the leftover oyster shells out here to one of these recycling areas so that they can put them back into the ecosystem and continue to grow the environment so that everybody can continue to enjoy these delicious oysters for a long, long time. All right, I hope you enjoyed tagging along for my party with my friends at our oyster roast. And maybe if you come down here and you buy a house, you may end up getting invited to my oyster roast or someone else's, or you may end up having your own oyster roast. If I can help you find your own Lowcountry lifestyle, please give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, or you can always book a Zoom call by going to lowcountrylifestylesteam.com. I hope to meet you in person at some point, but if not, I hope to at least see you on the next video.